Hey! Wait, hold up. It's lost. Reconnect my destination. Hold on. Okay, what's that? Beautiful. Your destination was reconnected. Hey! Hello, Facebook world. Hey. Happy Friday. Booty dance and all that. Oh, Lord. Hello. Oh, so we've been having some really awesome talks. I have something that I want to talk about, y'all. I want to talk about let's get real. Okay. Bonquita is in the building. Here she is. Let's talk about those clients that we have calling our office at Tiffany Colston Studios. And I'm going to say this for you guys, and I'm going to be real clear, okay? Who think that you guys are going to get something free with my incredible industry educated Berklee College of Music, some holding master's, doctorates in the industry, working with celebrities and stars, Britney Spears and everybody, who think that they have the audacity to call me and think they are going to tell me, one, how to run my business, and two, that they are not going to pay for lessons, and three, take advantage of promos and all sorts of things like that with my industry staff. So this is how we're going to start this pep talk today. Surprise! Woo-hoo! Surprise! If you cannot invest in your music and in your talent, in your gift, which half of y'all aren't even as talented as you think you are. Oops, did I say that? Yes, I did.
I didn't say that.
Okay, if you cannot invest, this ain't it. This ain't it for you. In order for me to continue to keep wonderful and amazing people on my team to give you guys the best of the best, which again, probably about more than half of you don't even deserve it. You are going to have to be able to invest in your gift. Do not call Tiffany Colston Studios if you want something free. Do not call me if you guys want a free trial lesson. Nothing's free. So that's how we're going to start that. Now, thank you guys for tuning in. Now that I have your attention, let's talk about all the amazing things and the surprises.
I want to talk about going to the supermarket and eating the food first, trying the food first, and then paying for it at the supermarket.
Yeah.
Is that what you do? Isn't that how it works?
There's this old, it's almost like folklore for musicians, and this has happened to Greg and I on I don't even know how many occasions, but there's this kind of like, it's almost like a fairy tale where a mother is basically planning a wedding for her daughter, and the wedding just so happens to fall on New Year's Eve. They're going to have the wedding on New Year's Eve. They're going to have the church service. They're going to have a function after, celebrate New Year's, celebrate the marriage of these two people. And she calls an agency, calls a gentleman who has a band, and I want to book a band for my daughter's wedding. All right, when's the wedding? It's New Year's Eve. Okay, it's going to cost you $7,500 just for the band. 5-piece band. They're going to play for 6 hours, 4 hours, whatever it is. Cocktail set. This is what we are going to provide. We have a DJ that we bring to play in between when the band takes a break. You know, it's New Year's Eve. It's the number one day for musicians. God bless you. God bless you.
Bless you.
It's the number one day for musicians. It's the highest paying night of the year. So that's why it is what it is. Well, that's way too much money. You're ridiculous to charge me $7,500 for a band. I'm going to shop around. And the band leader said to the mother of the bride, well, here, call 6 5 or 6 plumbers to come to your house on New Year's Eve to fix a broken pipe, a broken toilet, whatever they charge you, I'll do it for half. And people don't understand sometimes that, what we do, it comes at a cost. It's not, we don't charge exuberant amounts of money. Anyone is more than happy to go shop around. The prices, I think, are fair in terms of what, the TCS.
They're
very fair.
And
I know,
guys, hoo-hoo, they're under. They're under, but we still do, we're fair to keep them what they are. And also, I want to add this. When people call, they act like they're interviewing. Hold up. Oh, no. We are actually interviewing you.
Right.
See, if we want to put up with you for the next 4 weeks of the tuition.
Yeah.
Okay? So, yeah.
So,
Thank you. And and it's a great business. It's successful. We have over 120 people as a part of our TCS family. I'm able to take care and provide for my instructors, and I will continue to do so as best as I can. So if you ain't with it, hit it.
Or quit it.
Quit it. Get out.
I still don't understand how people still expect to go to the grocery store and pay for the food before they taste it. Right? Because isn't that what the whole reason is? Like, I want to try it first, and if I like it, I'll buy it.
Right. Right.
Sebastian.
So how does the argument work in reality?
Yeah, I mean, I love Sebastian Maniscalco. He has a routine in his comedy, skit that he talks about the people that go to Pinkberry, and they want to test everything, and they want to, sometimes in life, you go and it's like, if you don't like green tea and you get the green tea, the green tea frozen yogurt, and you don't like it, well, yeah, you messed up. I can't really say what he says, but sometimes, how many times have we been somewhere and we go to H&M or whatever. You can go to Gucci and you can buy something, you can bring it home, and you're like, I really don't like it. Yeah, well, you fucked up.
Yep.
Right.
So, it's like, I think just for me personally, my resume speaks for itself. So if you want to interview me for what I've done, or, like, we aren't these types of people who are like, well, just go on Google and search me or whatever. I'm not that guy.
Well, guess what? I am. If you guys want to be a part, hey.
If you want to do it, great.
You can go Google.
You want to do that, great. But when someone comes at me like that, it's usually not going to be a good fit for them to have me instruct them or kind of guide them, because I already know that the person, if you got off on the wrong foot, that's pretty much how you're going to be in the classes. I don't really feel that I have to prove myself to anyone but myself, and grow as a human being. And, there are people who are going to try to take as much as they can for the donut and everything. And, I don't expect my dentist to go check my mouth for free. I don't expect to go get my tires changed and not pay for labor. So it's a similar thing. And I think it's often lost in music in general. If you're a musician, if you're an instructor, whatever it is that you do, a lot of people take it for granted. Just because they can pick up a guitar and, strum some chords doesn't necessarily make you equal to someone else. And there are a lot of people out there who feel that because they can manipulate software or they can manipulate an instrument, that they're kind of in the same category, when there are many levels of where you get in, like, your evolution as a musician, as an artist. So just to add to what you're saying.
Well, and for those people, Mark, I would say, just because you jog to the mailbox doesn't mean that you're going to be on the Olympic team. You're not gonna make the Olympic team.
Hello, talking about resumes. LOL. Yes, we are definitely talking about resumes, because we are talking about our worth. And if you would like to be a part of TCS, then you're gonna have to come up with that TCS money in order to afford these amazing instructors who have resumes that are like this. Whoop-boo! Okay, now that's what we're talking about. Pow! Yes. And the other, wait, the thing is, it's like, can you imagine, like, I talk to probably about literally 40 people a day. Half of them are like donut brains, okay? And the other half not. They're amazing. We have an amazing, amazing clientele. So, of course, there's some weeding out that we have to do. But can you imagine if everyone that called expected a free trial? How many free trials? We'd have 150 free trials going on over the period of a week. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. We ain't doing no free nothing. No. And nothing that you invest in does not come with a price. So if you can't invest in yourself, I'm telling you, there's some great recreational schools out there. The list can go on. I'm in New Hampshire, Massachusetts. I can give you guys some good, but this ain't it. This is not it. So thank you so much for tuning in again. VPXM. Love software, hate manipulation. I have no idea what you're talking about, but I'm going to keep letting you go.
Learn the internet.
Yeah. Huh?
Learn the internet, I would say to that person.
Yeah.
Or as the baby boomers say it, the internets.
Yeah.
As also a musician, let's have trials. That's nice. Lots of people can have trials. I'm saying what we do. That's all. I don't care about that. I don't care about what
we don't have time to do trials.
We don't have time to do trials. We don't have to do trials. A trial is it's not that we
who out there works for, I want to know,
Tiffany, for free.
Tiffany, who out there goes to their office and works a free day?
Yeah.
For the company. Who does that?
Yeah. Let me do a trial 9 to 5.
You're a lawyer. I want to see you in action first. I want to see you litigate a case, and then I'll decide if I want to hire you.
Well, Tiffany,
how does that work in the real world?
And you just got done doing, what was it, 3 weeks of Bring a Friend?
Oh yeah, we did.
So
we did 2 promotional weeks of free, where I had my amazing instructors, Mark, Greg, Lex, Keith, Parker, the list goes on, do free promotional classes. That means that, what do we have, about 15 group classes that run a week? Yeah, something like that, where people were able to come into multiple classes per day free. So we don't do free trials. If you would like to pay for a trial, that's awesome. That would be great. And you know what? You'll love the experience here. We do awesome things. We've got virtual concerts, live TCS bands. Support the arts. Bottom line, period. So,
well, I mean, you having to explain yourself is kind of ridiculous. I mean, like I've said before, the greatest thing about the internet is that everyone can be on it. Everyone has access to it. And the worst thing about the internet is that everyone can be on it. Everyone has access to it.
Yep.
So, if people are bringing their ignorance and their stupidity, that's fine. But, a lot of people don't have time for that. And to educate people and to learn, have them learn the basics of decorum. You know what I mean? Like, just figure it out by walking down the street in life. You have to
right.
You have to take what you get, and then if you have access to something, try to be a little bit more respectful of it and kind of put it into context, and don't treat everything like, where is my free gift? Where is my
yes.
Where's my bonus? I mean, what do you think this is? You think we have time for this?
Right.
I have Bring a Parent week at the school that I work at, School of Rock, and the parents come in there because they want to see their kids' progress. You can talk to the parent. You can sort of give them an evaluation on how they've progressed or not progressed. But just to have people come to free classes to begin with, I mean, that's a luxury. Where do you get that? I'm not talking about going to Costco and sampling the cocktails weenie before you buy the box of it. I'm not talking about that. This is not Costco. You know what I mean?
Wow, all that time we weren't live on Facebook and IG. We were only live on YouTube. So let me reiterate
Oh.
what we just talked about. We are talking about our value and my staff and team value at Tiffany Posted Studios, and how if you think that you're going to come to my studio, okay, Tiffany Posted Studios, and get something for free, you might as well get to stepping, because it ain't happening. It's not happening. No, you're not going to get a free trial. No, you're not going to try us out. We don't have to do that. We have over 120 clients at TCS. And we have an amazing, incredible staff of people who are in the industry, actually in the industry, touring artists who are on stages, including myself, who are traveling the world, okay, coming from Berklee College of Music, highly accredited colleges, have their doctorate's degrees, master's degrees. And so, no, we will not give you a free trial.
Does Berklee have a bring a friend?
Yeah, we
program?
had Bring a Friend Week. And thank you for Bring a
free
Friend
semester
Week.
at Berklee, so you can, if you like it or not, free semester.
That's right. This
Study
past
with Victor
week,
Wooten.
y'all, we had Bring a Friend Week, but I just had a conversation with some people who think that they're gonna tell me how to operate my school, how I pay my wonderful over qualified instructors. So no, it's just not going down like that. And if you guys don't have, I'm saying this to the world, I don't care. We have a great family oriented clientele, professionals. And if you guys do not invest in your talent and passion that many of you think you have, and some of you do not, some of you are not as great as you think you are. If you do not want to invest, well, don't come here. Am I froze?
Yes.
And I love how I was froze too. Yes, invest in your gift. You know what? I invest in my personal training. Thank you so much, Stacy. Thank you, girl, because hey, listen, I have dropped 60 pounds in the past couple years. That took hard work. I had to invest in myself, and it took a village. So I had to go ahead and reiterate that for those on my Facebook Live. Thank you guys for tuning in today. Hey, and we did just do a free promotional offer that lasted 2 weeks where everyone got to come to all of our classes free. And guess what? It's over. So sign up if you would like to, because we've got some amazing, hey, look, hello. Hey, I love him.
He's already bored.
I know, right? I get it. Anyways, so we have every week, you guys just have so many amazing things to talk about. And I also would like to talk about some of our surprises that we have going on as far as workshops. Mark and Greg, summertime workshops. You guys stay tuned for more of our workshops in April, May, June, July, workshops and events, and our live virtual concerts. Those are in June. We have 3 virtual June concerts. June 10th and June 12th. There are 2 different ones. And then we have June 25th here in Nashua, New Hampshire, for our New Hampshire, Maine, and Massachusetts students. Now, many of you guys, I had advertised, you guys are all like, hey, what is it? What's the tea? So I told you guys come on down and check out what we have to talk about, because we do have the tea. We have some great tea for you guys, always. So, Bring a Friend Week is over. And tell me, what are we talking about today, Mark and Greg? What we talking about today?
Well, Mark, we had talked a little bit about some questions that have come up over the last few weeks about what is a WAV file, what is an MP3 file, which is interesting because we can talk all day long about plugins and how to record and DAW systems and all that stuff, but at the end of the day, if you don't know what you're working with, and unfortunately these days it can be kind of convoluted because there's a lot of different ways of listening to music, right? You can listen to it on vinyl, or you can listen to it on a digital platform or an analog platform. And I think people are confused, or they don't really know what it is. What is the difference between the various forms of, a music file to listen to? So, I mean, Mark had brought it up in a few classes, and I had it, in honestly, I got to say, and this kind of ties into what you were saying, Tiffany, if you're a producer or you're calling yourself a producer and you don't know the difference between an MP3 and a WAV file, you are not a producer.
No, you're not.
If you don't know what that is, you got to start there. Forget about everything else, making a beat, whatever that means. Whatever the beat is.
Beats.
You don't make beats. You sort of like create something that's usually based on something else, which takes the originality out of it. But forget about that for a minute. The sound of what you're dealing with, how you're listening to your audio, makes a huge difference on what it is you're trying to do or what it is you're trying to accomplish. So we can start there. The difference between a WAV file and an MP3 file. By the way, all these questions are answered in our classes, along with a lot more things that you can't get from a book, or you can't get from even a college course. We try to personalize a lot of what we do, which you don't get at school or at a university, because our classes can be, less people. We have a more personalized approach to sort of give you what you need individually rather than a group. You go to a college course, you take the course, and no one really singles you out or tries to help you as an individual. So that's another thing that you're getting from us that you don't get from a lot of other places, is you get a customized way of learning, because everyone has a different way of learning something. We try to give everyone attention to what they need so that we can bring them into it. So we can kind of start there, I guess, because that's what is unusual about what we're doing, or not typical, I should say.
Yeah, well, I always tell everyone, make sure you're working with the proper files. Sometimes if you download a beat off of a website, make sure that you're downloading a WAV file or an AIF file, because those files are significantly higher in audio quality. And MP3 is, what you get off of iTunes, and usually some of these, services that you would actually purchase a song. It has to be a certain size so they can get it over the internet and they can kind of get it to you. So I can pull up iTunes, and a standard MP3 might be 3 to 4 megs per song, where a WAV file, you're looking at, maybe a full song mixed in a WAV file might be anywhere from 120 to 140 megs, based upon the size of the song, how long it is, how many things are going on. So make sure that if you're a songwriter, if you're a producer, if you're trying to get into that racket of making music, make sure that you're working with the highest quality ingredients that you can. We can get into the ins and the outs of why things are 44 kilohertz or 96 kilohertz or whatever the sample rates are. Those are things that I try to advocate in classes and educate people on why things are that way, because I often get a lot a lot of questions between what's the difference between between 16-bit and like a 24-bit wave file. These are all affecting how things are going to sound. So there's so many things to take into consideration. One, starting at the foundational aspect of what an audio file is, how you're recording it. Usually Logic and Pro Tools and Digital Performer, Ableton will automatically spit out things at the highest quality that the software allows you to use. Certain software platforms are great for just playing back a WAV file or an MP3. Other DAWs like Logic, or like even like the industry standard, which is Pro Tools, records everything at the highest possible quality. And the engine that the software uses is very different than Nuendo or this platform. So there's a lot of things to take into consideration, not only with the ingredients, but your listening environment. I mean, a lot of people now listen to music on their phones, which I have a very orthodox view of how to listen to music and how to retain. And listening on your phone, unless you have some buds or something that you can actually hear the low end information, that's what you have to sort of get yourself in the habit of not always using your phone. Phone is very accessible.
Oh. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Someone locked them up. Well, I'll finish for Mark a little bit.
It's funny though, because he's talking and you can actually see it though. Okay.
He's back. Mark,
Okay.
you froze
You're
up.
back.
Yeah, I know. I saw that. My whole screen went out. Living in Vegas, not only are they storing nuclear waste in the mountains, these beautiful mountain ranges that you see, they're all full of, depleted uranium. And not to get off the subject, but we live in where Switch Communications is. Switch Communications is an internet company that provides internet service for basically the Western Hemisphere, and it's in Las Vegas. It's like living in Saudi Arabia, where they're basically paying 9 cents a gallon for gas because they're right at the source of the oil. Switch Communications, Las Vegas, has the worst internet service on the planet. I've been all over the world. I've been to third world countries. I've been to seventh world countries where the internet, it's so much better than it is here. So if you lose me, I apologize, but it's just like,
I think they do it on purpose because they don't want people on their phone. They want people pulling slots or at the
Right.
Yeah, it's so bad out here. It's like, this is like, I don't know. It's definitely a third world city. Don't let the disguise of hotels and don't let that fool you. It's like, Windows 95. It was a nice mask behind DOS. DOS was very ugly. People probably don't know what DOS is, but it's a language. It's like a computer language.
Well, hey, Mark, if people want to learn about the things you're talking about, they got to sign up with Mark.
That's right.
Whatever.
We're not gonna tell you what we're talking about.
This city's getting on my last nerve. I'm ready to pull my hair out living in Las Vegas. But whatever. I'll either get back to Massachusetts or I'll live in an island in the middle of the friggin' Pacific. Vegas. Whatever. Don't get me going.
Well, how about your classes then, Greg?
How about my classes? Well, I mean, I've noticed that a lot of people are signing up for things and they really don't know what it really is that they're taking, So it's more. So what I'm doing is that I'm giving more of an analysis type of presentation. If you're taking a songwriting or a recording or harmony or whatever is the course, there has to be sort of some ground rules that you have to be given so that you can understand what it is we're talking about. If you don't know how to play an instrument, and you want to write a song, I get some bad news for you. Unless you are 1 out of a billion type of a person, you're not going to be able to write a song. If you've never been in the water, You're not going to be able to swim. If you want to
Right.
learn how to swim without being in the water, you're not going to learn how to swim.
This is like, you got to name this. This shouldn't be called Pep Talk today. It should be called When Keeping It Real Gets Real.
We're keeping it real. That's right. When keeping it real gets real. That is
Which,
right.
listen, which is fine. I get it. A lot of people don't want to admit certain things that they don't know, or they don't want to come off as seeming like they're, less than or whatever. But it's not about that, right? Mark and I were talking the other day. We come from a time where you had to learn how to make the sound. You might have had a cassette tape, or something that was primitive that you had to figure out, well, how am I going to play it from this little recording unit? I got to put it through my stereo. How does that work? I mean, people are probably out there saying, what's a stereo? But, I'm just saying, sources to play your music. And then when you hear it on your stereo or boom box or whatever you were using, well, it's going to sound different on a TV. It's going to sound different when it goes through a different set of parameters that's going to ultimately change it, right? And then when if you get the chance to work on a show that has some kind of TV broadcast, which Mark has done many, 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 many times, and different kinds of broadcasts, right? Broadcasts that are going out live, broadcasts that are pre-recorded, broadcasts that are making use of 100 different things, right? Well, why? Why are there different kinds of processes given to certain types of things that are being broadcast live? What happens when something gets into a movie? How is that being treated? The sound quality, right? So these are all things that, unless you did those things, you wouldn't know about it. So we're trying to sort of give you a rounded view of what it is that's going on, why things sound a certain way, and ultimately what people from these various different things are expecting to hear. If you want to, I know people, I've had people come to me say, I want to write songs for other artists. Okay, that's fantastic. But there's no one waiting for you to come write songs for other artists. It's like you're going to have to break down the door and then claw your way to some type of position where you can get your music out there. And a lot of times people are going to be like, well, just, you know, give your song away for free just to get yourself inside that particular opportunity so that you can. But we don't live in that kind of a world anymore. We live in a world where, if someone doesn't like something, they just go to the next best thing, or they just try something else, or they do something, they get something for free,
Yes,
you know,
exactly.
and there's been no value placed on things that are really worth something, that really have sort of like proven that they can survive the test of time, that they have, years later, it still holds up, right? So, and a lot of that, the artists are like that now these days too. It's like a flavor of the month. You don't really see anyone hanging out for 6, 7 years and developing. An artist comes and an artist goes, and that's it. And it's next, and it's next. Um, so we try to kind of give you an overview and try to give it to you straight. Like if you're coming at this, if you're and this is by no means a knock on anyone's age or look or whatever, but if you're like a 65-year-old roller derby kind of person who wants to launch a music career, it's just not going to happen unless you're doing some kind of like parody or kind of semi-comical, or you're trying to do
Right.
something that has a different element to it. But if you're like dead serious about presenting yourself, there's like a certain amount of things you have to go through in order to get there. It's not like a one size fits all, but you have to sort of like get like with the program on how it works. It's not just people waiting for the greatest song to come around, because talent has really little to do with it in the end. to be honest.
Unfortunately.
As long as you know what you're doing, it's going to get you sort of in the arena. But, you know, and that's the other thing too. It's like people got to get over themselves a little bit. It's like,
Yeah.
not everyone knows that you're the gigantic star that you are, and including yourself. I think you don't know really what you're doing just because you're presenting yourself in a certain way. So, I mean, again, if you take these classes and these courses that we're providing, we sort of circle back around to this at some point to let you know, because we've been there. Right?
Well, it's like Tiffany and I had the conversation about the artist development that I do. And, you can label it however you want to label it, but basically what it is my philosophy is, okay, and it goes to what you're saying about everyone has access to Instagram and Snapchat and TikTok, and everyone can be a star to themselves. They may not actually be one, but my approach to this artist development is what to expect when you're expecting to make it in the music industry. Because everyone expects that they can make it in the music industry just by being on TikTok. I turned on the TV the other night and there was a show on MTV. The next, it was like something about a pop star. Like they took TikTok sensations and they are trying to make these people into like actual pop stars from just being on like a TikTok thing. Being in your room is comfortable. Having the neon lights and the strip lights and the Amazon package for lighting, and you look cool, and the room is blue hues and green and like purples. And when you get out of that environment and you're in front of people who actually matter, are you going to step up to the table and actually do what you feel that you know how to do, or are you going to choke? And I've seen a lot of people unfortunately choke because they can't deal with the pressure of somebody, and I don't want to start naming names, but some high level manager or record executive actually like, this is your moment to either make it or break it. And a lot of people crack under that pressure because they're so isolated, alone, and by themselves. So I always tell people, get out and do a gig. It could be a corn dog festival. It could be a state fair. It could be, Shriners, or, Home for Little Wanderers, which is something that Greg and I did that my father was very involved in when we were growing up. His band always played Home for Little Wanderers. So like Greg and I kind of have this like giving back and like helping people, and I try to really let people know this is what you have to expect if you're going to go play a gig somewhere. If you're going to go, do a gig on a cruise ship. I mean, fortunately and unfortunately, however you want to look at it, I think it's fortunate. But like Greg and I have played in every type of musical situations. I was telling my class yesterday, my first year at Berkeley, Greg and I always played music in clubs. Since we were like 16 and 17. Used to sneak in. What was the place in Beverly that we used to play at?
Well, there's a few places. Grover's was one of them.
Grover's, all right. I'm using that as an example.
Okay.
It was, they served alcohol, but like we did gigs there where we lied, and they kind of like, back then it was a little bit more lenient. Yeah, okay, just don't drink, don't get us in trouble kind of deal. We just wanted the opportunity to play our music in front of a crowd. No money. We just had our licenses. We schlep all our equipment to do what, a 30-minute set? And in that 30 minutes, that's when you have to set up and break down. They give you 2.5 minutes to set up, and they give you like another minute to like get the hell off the stage so the next band cannot get on.
And it takes the sound man 15 minutes to figure out what's going on.
So perfect example of what I was trying to advocate yesterday. If you're going to go to do a show and you're even if it's just you with like a computer, which with a left and a right, you're a DJ, you have a left and a right off the turntables. Give a heads up to the sound guy. Liaison with the sound guy. The sound guy is going to be your best friend. He has his hand on the good and the suck knob. And if you're a jerk, he's going to turn that suck knob up more than he's going to turn that good knob up. And that's just the nature of that world.
Not even if you're a jerk. If you're walking in there like you're something better, you have an attitude about something, they're going to make it not worth your while.
Yeah, they've seen it all. They've seen it all. And, if you're gonna go to the whiskey, you're gonna go. The first person you should find is the sound guy and the lighting guy. Once you liaison with the actual staff and the management of the venue, go introduce yourself to the sound guy or to the lighting people, and you may not have it. Slip them $10. Slip them $5. Hey, can I buy you a drink after this? They will work for you, and they will really work for you. So just by you showing them that you appreciate what they're doing, they're getting paid no matter what. They're in there. If there's 2 bands or if there's 200 bands, they're going to get whatever their salary is, they're going to get paid. Sometimes you may run into someone like anyone else that has a bad day. Sound engineers, I think it got voted the most grumpiest job in the world are sound engineers. And I've worked with a lot of sound engineers. I know the type. Once you peel back the layers, they're all the same. They're all super talented, super intelligent, super detail oriented, and they want their mix to sound good. And they don't want anybody screwing that up. And you could get it screwed up by the bass player's on stage sound is too loud. So he has to take the bass out of the PA, and then the mix doesn't sound right because the bass off the stage is so loud that he can't compete with it. So there's so many things that you have to take into consideration, especially when you're doing a live show. Don't just show up with, here's my track, and here you go. And then you get on stage.
Yeah, and don't say to the guy, if you do a good job, I'll give you a tip after. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let me try it out first. Let's see if you're a good sound man. First of all, they're telling you who the sound man is. You don't get to pick your own sound man. So this is like an etiquette thing. What Mark just explained is you're not going to find that in a book.
Absolutely.
Right?
And you're speaking of etiquette too, one of the things that I have noticed, and Mark, you and I have talked about this too, because we've definitely gotten our handful of students who don't last at TCS, who you can have all the talent that you think that you have, but you're calling us for a reason. You don't even have the personality to even handle the industry at all. You can't even handle schedule conflicts.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
You can't even handle your roll-up keyboard.
Your what?
Your roll-up keyboard. Your placemat keyboard. You misplaced it.
Greg, I can't.
Hold on, let me go to the table and get it.
A literal roll-up keyboard. No. So I think that the first thing too that, you have to have a personality and a charisma about you that when you walk into the room, bam. I know when I walk in the room, listen, I'm humble and I'm confident. And I know exactly who I am. When I walk into a room, I know, yeah, that's charisma. There is something about whoever you are, it should be, I know there's something about me where, you think I had glitter and confetti shooting out of my tail. You know what I'm saying? And you have to have a certain level of that personality. And honestly, the common decency of, hey, you know what? Let me buy you a burger. Or, hey, here's a water bottle. Hey, something. Here's a tip.
Or even just not taking everything so personally, like it's all about you. You know what I mean? Kind of just cutting everyone a lot of slack and kind of going with the flow instead of being like, hey, do you know who I am? That's gonna get you nowhere. Who wants to deal with people like that?
I think I think what you two guys are saying right now, that's a tough ask. We live in a different time.
You're right.
Yeah.
I was born with we were 14 months apart. We're part of the early 70s. I know it seems like 100 years ago, but it really was a different time. And you look at what they're putting this new Supreme Court nominee through, and how society is very sensitive.
Very sensitive.
I'm not really used to that. There are some things that I can't get on board with that are I hate the term woke. You never heard that term 5, 6 years ago, but I know it's a big term now, and everyone's woke, and you have to pretend for other people now. Certain people are so into what they're doing that if you don't agree with them, you're going to be canceled or you're going to get in trouble. And I have a hard time getting on board with that, just because I think of the way I was raised and what time frame I was raised. So to ask people to be not so sensitive, I think society is just pushing people towards being sensitive. There's a much stronger word that I'd like to use, but I'm trying to keep it PG or G for the sake of being live. But
Listen to 13 because they don't have no business on Facebook. No way. They need to be reading a book and doing some homework.
You're not gonna find sensitivity in the music industry. And
yeah,
if you're looking to be understood, forget it. Pick something else.
which is what I was trying to get to, was the fact that society doesn't prepare anybody to be in the entertainment business. I don't want to just say music, but entertainment in general. If you're someone like radio personality, TV personality, a dancer, a poet, whatever you are artistically that's geared towards the entertainment business, society doesn't really get you ready for that. And if you look at, even when Greg and I were adolescents even in third grade, music was active. It was part of the curriculum. You could take home ec, you could go learn how to bake a cake. And you didn't really have a choice at third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade. It was just part of the American educational system for public schools. Greg and I didn't go to, private because we grew up in a town that had an unbelievable, highly ranked, public education. So my parents went the public route, and we had this interaction with music teachers and art. And I took 4 years of photography in high school, and I continued that when I got into Berkeley. So I studied photography for 8 years, and this is before digital. This was I had to put the emulsion paper and learn how to develop film and turn it into black and white, turn it into color. There was no digital cameras. It was the friggin' little cartridges that people don't know about. Young kids nowadays don't know how to read a clock. It boggles my mind. So these are just small little pieces of a bigger problem, I think, that is in society, especially in arts, where they're taking a lot of the money out of kids learning music and having music class, and they're not putting anything back in its place. They're not giving children an option. If you're exposed to it, even just music theory and things like that, it gets that motor running in your body of, okay, you're starting to understand, I have to do this to be better. And once you learn all this information and you learn how to be an amazing singer, drummer, guitar player, songwriter, poet, music producer, beat maker, whatever it is, that you get yourself to a position where now you're in the conversation, that doesn't mean you got to start all over again once you get in the room. I was lucky enough to get myself in the room, not necessarily based upon my abilities as a musician, but because I knew how to play in the sandbox with everyone else. And I learned that at a young age. And that's a term that we use. Oh, that guy didn't get the job because he doesn't know how to play in the sandbox with everybody. 51% is your personality. Okay. If you don't have a good personality, if you're not a good person, you could be a real jerk. You're going to work for a little while. And believe me, I know a lot of jerks in the music industry who are very successful. So there is some truth to what I'm saying, but the lower level people who are trying to make it, if you don't make a good impression and you're a jerk, and if you're a young musician and you just came from church, maybe you've got a couple years of Berkeley under your belt, and you are in a church situation and you get on a tour bus and you're looking for someone to carry your bags from the bus to the hotel to your room, you're in the wrong business. It doesn't happen anymore. It's like, if you work for an artist, if you work for whoever it is that you work for, you pretty much have to handle yourself and kind of be invisible. The more invisible you are, the better off you're going to be in the long term of sustaining a career. You can't just be all, full of piss and vinegar every second of the day because you're not going to work. And
Yeah, and that's a good point. And also not being full of yourself.
yeah,
Yes.
I had a girl who she plays. I'm not going to say who she is, but she's younger, and her whole family, because your family and your close friends are going to try to encourage you, and they're going to try to support you, especially when you're younger. So they came up with the nickname Legend for this girl. Now she's a drummer, and everyone calls her a legend, and they've sort of brainwashed her into thinking that she is actually a legend when she is not,
Yeah.
because she can't play the bass drum and snare drum in the same context. So therefore, you know, people who are kind of cheerleading you and supporting you is very important. I'm not trying to like knock that, but you got to be like realistic and practical. You're not a legend, you know. You're
Yeah.
not you're not the next best thing. You're not something different. We're all trying to do the same thing. So you have to bring a little bit of humility to the situation.
Absolutely.
And when you get into it, you have to be like, okay, I'm new here. I'm gonna look around, see what my environment is, and try to adapt, fly under the radar type of. I mean, Mark would have never have survived 20 plus years straight in the music industry until everything closed down, of course, and COVID took over. But he never would have lasted that long if he didn't know how to be covert and fly under the radar. Sometimes you need to be out front, and sometimes you need to step way back. If your ego doesn't allow you to do that,
Huh.
you're gonna have a big problem, a
Forget
huge
it.
problem, and you're not gonna get anything done, right? Because people don't want to deal with you. I got news for everybody. You're not the greatest thing
Especially when
in the
you're
world.
not that talented and when
Well,
you can't
if
sing
you
at
think you're
all.
and that's the problem. People are like, well, I think I'm talented. Well, it has to be the populace at large has to think that you're talented. And even if they do, it doesn't give you license to be an ass. It
That's
just
right.
doesn't. It just doesn't. No one wants to be around people like that.
yeah.
People who
And
call themselves geniuses and stuff like that. No one wants to be around people like that.
yeah, and I mean, I'm all for having confidence and being, being like
Yeah.
confident in your abilities and where you're going. And talent is relative. Everyone has a certain level of talent in them, and sometimes that little pod of talent gets opened up, and people who are like, there are virtuosos, there are these anomalies in the matrix where people are so super talented, and being humble is, I think, I mean, it's a good like trait to have. It's definitely served me well. I learned it at an early age. I was lucky enough to work for the Boston Celtics for a long time, and I learned a large level of humility and around these NBA players, these superstars in the mid 80s, and it taught me a lot. Not everyone has that type of advantage to learn some of the things that I learned as a teenager that helped me navigate through being around famous people and famous record producers that people may not notice on the street, but I know who Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis is. Like when they walk into a room, you kind of you become upright because they're legends and they're super talented. And I had the like honor of working with Terry Lewis early on when I started with Usher. And when a guy like that walks in a room, there could be 400 people that love Usher, but they won't know who Terry Lewis is because he's not so out there. Yeah, Morris Day and the Time, people know who he is, but he's not like famous like an Usher or like a Britney or
And
someone
he's
like
not
that.
demanding that people know who he is. And maybe that's the reason for his longevity. So it's like, you got to get out of your own way at some point and
Yeah.
not be so. And that's what Mark's talking about. I mean, I'm sure there are lots of things that happened over the years where Mark saved the day, or, something went wrong. And at the last minute, Mark came out of nowhere. And I've seen this happen and fixed the problem, whatever. But he didn't need the glory. He didn't need people to, oh, Mark, you're so wonderful. You're so fantastic. Thank you for saving us. It's just on to the next gig. So that's why I'm saying you need to get out of your own way and not
Yeah.
be so full of yourself. There's a lot of people in this pool, that are not going to tolerate it, and they don't care if you think you're so great. Who cares? You know what I mean? Like you got to get on with the task at hand. What are you doing? Are you producing the project? If you had a bad day, are you like tapping out of the entire thing because because Mercury's in retrograde. Let's say I'm gonna tap out because Mercury's in retrograde.
I
I'm
think you're in
being
retrograde
ridiculous.
today.
Huh?
I
I
think
think
you're in
I'm in
retrograde.
retrograde.
I think you two are in retrograde.
You know
Well,
I'm in retrograde because I hung
even
up
if I
that
am in
call. I'm like,
retrograde,
I would just be
I still
real.
made it to this thing, and I'll still
Yeah,
talk.
no,
That's
absolutely.
my
No,
point.
no.
Like, just get over yourself, or if you made a big mistake, learn from your mistake. Don't take it as like, oh, I got to be defensive. There's a lot to learn from.
That is like what I just said a couple of minutes ago about. I think that is it's a heavy ask of people. I think we're in just a completely different time in society now. A lot of people get it. A lot of people don't get it. I was told early on by my teacher at Berkeley, who I studied, a piano with, and Greg studied with him improvisation. He's a legendary, a piano player. Played with Miles, played with Dizzy Gillespie. He was the guy in Boston who everyone called when they needed a keyboard player. He lived in the first floor of Miles Davis's. He owned a brownstone in Manhattan, and John Schofield and all the greats, Michael Brecker. They all hung out at this place, and they jammed in the basement. And then that night, they'd take their shit and they'd go and do a gig at whatever club, BB King's or Les Paul's place. And he was in that scene, and he told me early on, I think I was in high school still, sophomore, he goes, listen, there are two kinds of music, good and bad. Most everyone knows the difference. And nowadays, people don't know the difference.
No.
I'm really starting to learn, and I'm not talking about just non-musicians or musicians. I came across a video last night on Facebook on one of the groups that I'm involved in, and there was these two people playing. It was noise. It wasn't really music, and the drummer was playing super fast. It was probably like 240 BPMs, and it was an energy. It was kind of like punk rock. It was a guitar player playing a flying V and a drummer, and I'm reading the comment, and it was maybe a minute and a half, and the comments were geniuses, masterful. Oh my God, so much skill, skill. And I just commented, here's a skill question. Can anyone count the amount of times that they turned the beat around? Because the beat was turned around probably 7 or 8 times in the minute and a half. And I said, wow, no one hears that. Now, I studied metric modulations. Greg and I studied tempo of the moment. We're educated in the vastness of rhythmical harmony and things like that. You get in these avant-garde jazz bands, and sometimes it's tempo of the moment. They're going to go from 4/4 to 5/4 to 7/4 to a different type of waltz or whatever. And I said that would be a real skill if anyone in this thread could count the amount of times that they turn the beat around. So people start now to they're like trying to figure out, oh, I can't figure it out. That's fine. No fault.
Or they say, I don't need to know about beat. What does this guy know what he's talking about?
Yeah, and listen, I understand that what those two guys were doing in that video was all about aggression. And if you listen to punk rock, it has very little to do with musicianship. It's energy and vibe, and I get it. I'm not expecting the bass player in a punk rock band to be a virtuoso. Some of them are, and they just want to thrash and feel that energy. So that kind of music, I get it. And what the guys were doing were aces in terms of like hitting the energy and like aggression vibe. It was very aggressive, very angry, super fast, but technically, they were turning the beat around like every
Well, that's a big thing.
Every like I couldn't even count the measures because there really were no tangible measures. They would play like a bar of four, and then they would turn it around, and I'm like, okay, maybe they're trying to do that. I highly doubt it, but people in the commenting thread were interpreting that as genius or skill, so much skill, so much skill. I said, yeah, I mean, it's relative, but is it good music? At the end of the day, is it good? And anything that sounds like nails on a chalkboard, maybe some people love nails on a chalkboard. Some people love screeching banshees and wombats and whatever. Me personally, I don't think so. And I would hope to think that by this point in my life, I can differentiate between good and bad music. There's a lot of
Well,
music I don't like. Doesn't make it bad. It's just not my particular taste.
well, I think it was Mike Mara who said, "Take it where it comes from." So if you're telling me they're turning the beat around, I'm going to listen to you because, of course, you know. But if it's someone who just thinks that they have the authority to comment that someone's a genius when they don't even know what it's about, I'm not going to listen to a person like that.
Well, you two banshees are keeping it real, so I'm not. I don't. I feel that I don't have to really keep it.
Hey,
I
I'm
don't
just getting
feel that I have
excited.
to be
I can't
so.
wait for next week. I can't wait.
I know. I mean, it's a lot. A lot of this stuff. In April, we're going to be doing one of these seminars, these workshops, and
Yes.
there's going to be a lot more talk about some of these things that I'm talking about what to expect when you go to a gig and how to handle yourself, and how to strip back the layers of what you really want to do and how to get there. There's really no handbook. There's no music business for dummies. I'm sure there is by now, but there's really no one way to like really go about getting yourself where you want to go. And it goes back to all the classes that we're teaching and letting people know, if you want to be a songwriter, if you want to be a vocalist, it's not going to hurt to teach yourself a little bit of basic keyboard or like strum a guitar, learn a couple of cowboy chords, just learn the basics. You don't have to sound like Jimi Hendrix or Chopin or whatever it is, but try to get yourself to a point where you can aid the whole cause of what you're trying to do. Don't limit yourself. Keep moving forward until you feel that you've picked up enough steam with the aspects of what you want to learn, and then harness those and then move on to the next thing once you feel that you have your head wrapped around writing a song, knowing the difference between an MP3 and a WAV file, knowing the difference between what sample rates to record your music at. There's a science behind that. It's not something that you learn in 20 minutes. It's a very involved musical engineering thing. It's not as dangerous as being an astronaut, but there's a lot of the same type of principles that like go into learning about that information. I mean, they wouldn't have a course at Berkeley for 4 years about MP&E, music production and engineering, if it wasn't something that you really had to learn about algorithms. And I'm not talking about algorithms in relationship to what Instagram is going to put on your ad feeds. I'm talking about the real aspects of algorithms and numeric equations and frequencies, and you have to learn all that. A lot of people know what it sounds like, but they don't know what it looks like or how to.
And it sounds boring and mundane, and it is, but it's necessary. It's not like a quick fix. It's not like a flashy. You know, you gotta watch where your information's coming from, because a lot of it can be like propaganda type, or quick fix, easy. You don't have to learn how to play this. You don't have to learn how to play that. Just watch my half an hour video and you're gonna learn stuff like that. Come on, it's ridiculous. I mean, if you
Right.
really have half of a brain, you're gonna figure it out.
And
There's no quick fix.
and like the last week we did the same talk last week, and someone had made the comment of like that it's good to see what's out there, and I absolutely agree with that statement, that it's good. When I was 13, 14, I couldn't go on the internet and see. I had to go to a club, or I had to go see someone play live to like check them out or to learn about them,
Or
or
figure it out on your own because no
yeah,
one's
someone
doing it.
came into Boston, Greg and I at 18, 19, 19, 20, whatever. We would go to see a show at like a club. Nowadays, you just go on TikTok and you can do a search and you can see 750,000 different people doing music, or on their looper station, and it's good to see what people are doing. I kind of like that aspect of stripping away the visuals and just listening to what is going on. And that's a good tool to kind of gauge what you want to do, where you're at, with other people, how more advanced people are than you, and maybe if I try this. So it's good to see what other people do, just to get like the overall, like, aspect of how it applies to what you're doing, and just to just to see what other people are doing. It's great, but sometimes it's such a big rabbit hole. It's so deep that you can get lost and caught up in what's going on and what other people are doing. And you got to think, you can't see what the camera is not showing you. It might just be
Right.
an 8x8 footprint and it looks great, but so there's a surfaceness that you probably have to kind of chip away at. That's would be my advice: is don't really take everything for face value that you see
No,
on
and
TikTok or
and
whatever.
and where is this information coming from? Is it coming from just some guy sitting in his basement, or is it coming from someone who has five, 10 platinum albums, who's
Right.
got, their name on a bunch of records and has got some actual experience, or is it just someone who is just telling you that they're a genius and they're great?
Yeah,
And that's just subjective. That's just an opinion. You know, we had to learn how to do it on our own in order to do it. But listening to certain people could be damaging. I mean, it could set you back. It could put you in a different direction. So a lot of people out there who don't know what they're talking about. A lot of people out there claiming things that they don't even know what they're talking about.
yeah.
So you don't have to worry about that with us. We've been vetted. I mean, there's no way we
You have
would have
definitely
done.
been vetted, and you are legends.
Well, we wouldn't have been doing it this long if we were just, screwing people around, or just calling ourselves geniuses and just expecting people to just flock to us and listen to what we have to say. I mean, you got to be careful with that word genius. I mean, I know there's a thing on Netflix with Kanye West called Genius. I don't know who, I mean, because he's a little bit different, I guess, but I mean, I know for a fact, I don't know if you knew Jeff Basker, Tiffany, but he worked for Night Shift. He was a
Yep, I
keyboard
remember
player.
him.
Yeah, he wrote that whole 808 and Heartbreak album. He wrote that music.
Oh!
He wrote the music. He produced the tracks. Not Kanye West. I mean, Kanye West took credit for it, but someone else wrote the music, right? Someone else wrote and produced, engineered, put the tracks together, and then Kanye West just stamped his name on it. To me, that's not a genius,
Yeah,
right?
no.
Just like Mozart wrote his own score with his own hand, and there's proof of that, right? That's a genius, right? Taking credit for someone else's hard work is not a genius. So you have to be very careful of what, I'm not knocking the music. I'm just saying you can't believe everything that people tell you, including us. If you don't want to believe everything that we're telling you, then compare it. Go out and do your research. Go out and talk to people. Go live it. And then come back and say, hey, you guys were actually right. If you have that kind of time on your hands. But we're trying to prevent you from going through all those pitfalls and just kind of giving it to you straight. You know, whether you like it or not, it's not the point. The point is that if you really want to do a particular thing, you have to follow through with certain things, or else you're going to be a flash in the pan, or it's not going to work out, or you're going to get screwed over financially. You're going to lose your rights, or you're going to submit the wrong kind of wave file or music file, and it's going to screw everything else up, and you're going to lose your money. You're not going to get your money back. You're not going to get a free trial. So
That's right.
we're just trying to help you out, and give it to you straight, and give it to you real, because I don't see enough people out there doing that. I see people out there selling BS. That's what I see a lot of on the internet.
Yep.
And we're just trying to straighten it out. And if you're going to work with us and listen to us, it has to be a certain way.
That's right.
In order to
Amen.
get it right, and then you can kind of like do your own thing once you've got the basics. You work within the parameters, and you can kind of make it original. But at the very least, when you come into something, we're going to explain it to you. We're going to try to set you on a path, and then help nurture that no matter where you want to go. I mean, between the three of us, there's several different avenues to pursue in the music industry, be it performance, recording, writing, a production thing. So you got to figure out what you want, and then come to us, and we'll try to direct you. You'll maybe work with the three of us, or two of us, or one of us from this group. But we're all on the same page as far as what we're trying to do for these students. We're trying to direct them in a place that, it's not going to take you 5 years to figure it out. Right off the bat, we're going to diagnose whatever it is you want, and set you in motion towards that. But I don't want to hear, well, my friend Ray said, well, who cares what he said? I don't want to have to sit here and prove, or Mark doesn't want to have to sit there and prove, or you, Tiff, what we've done.
No,
why are you here watching us to begin with? If you got all the answers,
I'm not.
Go talk to Ray or
Don't
whoever.
talk to Ray.
You
better call Tyrone.
Call him.
All right, look, I gotta
But
go.
you can't use my phone.
That's right. All right, that was it.
Thank you, Tiffany, always for the forum.
This lesson, and I love you guys. Thank you guys all for tuning in. Please call, and you just know you go pay up.
That's right.
Otherwise, you better call Tyrone.
Call him.
That's right.
Bye, guys.
Ciao.
Bye. Thank you.